Do you suffer from toxic competitiveness? All that ails society, especially modern society, is based in toxic competitiveness. I guarantee you, you have been infected. This disease is highly contagious and spreads through so many ways as to warrant our constant vigilance and apply the remedy every day till it is eradicated from our beings and society. I had been infected since infancy, and since everyone around me also suffered from this condition, I did not even know I had the disease. I first was presented with this revelation during a Personal Success Institute seminar almost 20 years ago. There, during a seminar activity, we were allowed to exhibit our competitiveness. In order to get ahead in the activity, I had to make my wife's team lose. My wife that I loved dearly. What a revelation that was. Me, an active member of my church, believed in love eternal, and I was doing my best to make her lose, just so I could get ahead in a stupid game. Here I discovered toxic competitiveness transcends religious upbringing and is a pervasive problem throughout the world, especially in the so-called first world countries. The many forms of how this infirmity exhibits itself are almost as varied as the number of people inhabiting the planet. But certain categories in which you fit can easily be identified. An executive that makes a choice to produce an inferior product at a higher price than it is really worth just because of the flimsy justification that the market will bear it. A jealous relationship because we couldn't bear the idea of them having another relationship with another. An industry that modifies organisms genetically, not just to increase profit, but to gain ultimate control and turn a global resource of humanity into the exclusive property of the industry owners, is a prime example of catastrophic, global, toxic competitiveness. Imagine the irreparable damage that they are causing for present and future generations. And speaking about industries, countless cases are reported almost monthly about the pharmaceutical industry placing dangerous chemicals on the market as medicine that are useless or harmful, all on the premise that it is more profitable to pay indemnification of a few thousands than to lose billions on a useless or dangerous product. On a more personal level, any employee who does not put in a full day's work and justifies it by thinking that work ethic has anything to do with how much you earn is infected. If you've ever had a case of road rage or even just gotten angry because someone else did something stupid while driving, then you have definitely been infected. You need emergency use of the remedy. In the sports arena, recognizing and accepting the fact that friendly competition is a lie used to justify denial of a dangerous level of toxic competitiveness is experienced by the vehement resistance to change to the status quo. Consider, for example, replacing sports where competition between opponents of other team members, many times from other countries, were replaced by athletes who showed their prowess by reducing their own time or score, going faster, longer, and pushing the physical limits instead of throwing it in the face of their opponents. See how just the suggestion of this causes feelings of animosity towards me. How many people do you know that are infected with the disease and justify their existence and feelings on the results of last night's game? Example: a fan feels superior than another because the team he arbitrarily chose to be a fan got a better score than the competing team. In fact, justification for continuation of these Olympic events is that a little competitiveness is necessary to reduce war. This is a farce. Look around you and see how many wars are going around the world. Whereas the gun has been replaced with the pole vault, or the sword, or other disguised instruments of war, even though the number of fatalities has been drastically reduced instead of in a killing war, the feelings of animosity linger and fester. Concerning the Olympics, they have changed very little over the last couple thousand years. Basically, the only difference is that the athletes are clothed now. But the brutal competitiveness of the event is just as uncivilized as it was since the beginning 20 centuries or so ago. There is absolutely no sport or other human endeavor worthy of our investment of time and energy, in which the only way to distinguish the winner is that you must create a loser. Let me repeat, there is absolutely no sport or other human endeavor worthy of our investment of time and energy, in which the only way to distinguish the winner is that you must create a loser. And finally, those who consider themselves as the global elite justify genocide, war, and poverty, justifying their actions with the lie of overpopulation. In fact, wars are just extreme manifestations of the infestation, especially when fighting over resources perceived to be limited. And any politician or citizen who uses privileged information to gain unfair advantage over another is suffering from an acute case of toxic competitiveness. Suffices to say that we are all suffering from this disease, and even the fact of blaming another for this illness is just one more manifestation of this dangerous plague. Blaming others for the past infection is a useless waste of energy. Society is the way that it is because of the choices of all those in the past, most of which have been dead for eons. If you want to blame anyone for anything, take a look in the mirror. You are responsible 100% for the present and future propagation of toxic competitiveness. Accepting the fact that we are all infected and suffer from toxic competitiveness is the first step. Recognizing the signs and symptoms of the illness, treating and eliminating them behooves us all. In fact, there is no other activity that takes or could take priority to make a more positive influence in the world and our society for the future. Furthermore, this activity is a lifelong one, and once you're on the road to recovery, for the good of our society and a better world, it behooves us to encourage all those we know around us to do the same. Take the antidote daily and encourage all they know to do so. If we neglect our duty, the world can only get worse. Nevertheless, can you imagine and visualize a world governed by the altruistic principle? Now the antidote. Mutual reciprocity. Before taking any decision, ask yourself, would I want or even appreciate being on the receiving end of the consequences of my actions? If not, then another action or plan needs to be taken. Rather than being a fan of a sport or a team, be a champion of mutual reciprocity. You cannot change the outcome of a game in which you do not actively participate, but you can change the outcome of our society and world to make it better and more altruistic. Make it a goal to share this with at least 15 other people and get a commitment from at least 3 that they will do the same. Then share it with everyone you know or meet. Using the resources of the internet, make this go viral. Let's make mutual reciprocity spread like the radiation of Fukushima. In the animal kingdom, animalistic competitiveness reigns supreme. If we really consider ourselves more developed than the inferior animals, then it is time to prove it. Let's make choices that make us superior instead of just talking about our superiority. competition. It does a society bad. Let's get rid of it before it does us in.